And we will,
I might as well get rid of these so Malcolm doesn't get it.
5 minute recess, open the doors, let people in, and we get on.
Yes, I don't eat properly, and I was rude because I was
What?
sleep recurrently in my.
Oh, yeah, you got
report.
shit on for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on you got a target on you right now, buddy.
5:07 on November 10th. Okay, we're going to resolve into the committee of the whole recommendation that the council resolve itself into the committee of the whole at 5:07, moved by Councillor Malmus, second by Councillor Carries, all in favor. Carried, thank you. Okay. Going to go into administration updates, capital project update. Carol, can you give us a report on that, please?
Sure, through the chair. We're all but completed with the washroom construction at the beach park. There's a little bit of work going on inside. We've an opportunity with the ducting now just to put an inline heater in there, a very low amp heater, just to take the chill out of it. So if we ever want to use it in the winter time for family day in February or something, we can have that available to us. So there'll be other activities that take place first thing in the spring. Some of the trails will get done and the kids park will be replaced as well. Wastewater treatment upgrade is like a war zone behind Public Works right now. We've got 300 mil line being put in for the effluent that comes in. There's power and there's water being run. We've got trenches everywhere. The filters all done. Now it's the housing, the vault for it. So that's coming together nicely. Main Street revitalization. We've got our cost estimate from BC Hydro for the project cost to get the power underground, and we'll be finalizing those numbers and bringing back to council to see whether we want to proceed with that grant or not. That'll be in the next little bit. We've got some good news on the Elhead mountain bike trail. We'd gone up there a few weeks ago with representatives from Splatson and from the Adams Lake Band. They enjoyed the tour. They gave us a letter of support. The next step was to get back to the province with a cultural heritage assessment study that needed to be done. So we've been pressing them to get that started, to get back up there and do that. And we've got a letter from Splatson saying that they've seen enough and that they're satisfied we've met all the conditions, so that can now go to the province so we can get going on that. So that's good news. The bridge had a busy couple nights, Monday night, Sunday night, Monday night. We got the rest of the girders up, so it's starting to take shape now. They'll be doing a sleeper slab they have to pour, so there's a little bit of forming to do. I would think in the next week that'll be ready. They'll pour that, and then they're going to need to probably trap the warmer air for the deck, and they'll just hoard it. They'll get it all poured, and we'll have both sides functioning for the winter is the plan. So that's moving well. Finlayson boat launch. They've been working down there. The gabion baskets are torn apart. Mackey squares all but removed at this point. And we've got the cobble from those baskets is all being laid out. The last of the old federated wharf was taken out today. So that's good news. That's about it for the capital stuff for now.
Good.
All right, comments or questions from council? Councillor Malmus and Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, Daryl, good job on that wastewater treatment upgrade. That's been an ongoing thing for a year and a half now. Glad to see it might finally come to an end and our wastewater will be functioning and we can get our permit increased so we can get the capacity up to have more residents live in our community. And the South Squaw Bridge, yeah, I drive by it all the time and I look at it and I always look to see if those girders are there. And I was pleasantly surprised that there was a bunch of them there on Monday morning. So that's good. Good job. Good work there, Daryl.
Thank you, Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, good job there, Daryl. I just had one question. I had a couple concerns from some parents on the beach park. They love everything like it is, and maybe it's not done yet. Just that when you're up top on the top and there's about a 3 foot, retaining wall at the top. Is there anything going to go along the top of that to stop a toddler from going over?
Yeah, the railings will be, we've got the railings on the side done and the top will be done.
Stop railing, yes. I figured there would be, but I thought that's great. I'll let them know. Thank you. Good job.
Councillor McCabe, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I missed your opening date for the bridge or the full traffic, both lanes without, when are we changing from single lane to full rough without committing to an accurate?
Probably just guess by the progress that they've made to date and the speed that they go. And I know winter's coming, so they're boosting it up. I see at least a couple weeks of some forming and some pours, and then they do the big pour for the deck, and it'll take a week to cure. So I'm going to say probably 3 weeks to a month, and we should have that deck done. Then they can continue work around the bridge. There's all kinds of riprap to do underneath. There's the pedestrian part of it, the railings and all that, but functioning probably within a month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gord.
One thing, Daryl, I forgot to ask, in the planning stage, when we started talking about the bridge, we were trying to talk to them about doing a canoe launch there. And when they kind of exit and they start demobilizing or, and so is there anything, is that still in the works, I hope?
That was brought up early on, and we loved the idea of it. We were not able to secure the land that was needed to do that. So at that spot, it's a non-starter.
Okay. Well, I'll look in the budget, see what we got somewhere else.
Go ahead, Councillor McCabe.
I forgot to mention, great job. It's been a struggle on the bridge. Are we still gonna is there a little money in the budget there to fence off to one side to complete the fencing and dog park sort of thing along the one
Be on the south side against the road.
on,
Yeah, I think I know which section along the road, along the road.
yeah, along the road at the north end of the bridge along the dog park, just before the first residence. That's the only area that's not really fenced.
Yeah.
Especially a dog could run up onto the highway. The previous Joe mentioned that he would try and get it in the
Yeah.
budget without committing to it.
Through the chair, that was identified. We do want to close that off. They're going to need that area to do the riprap and all the work around in the water. Once they're up and out of there, we can look at that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, good progress. Daryl, when it comes to several $1 million worth of grant funding going to work for the district of Sycamous, and you and Public Works are doing a really, really good job. Really like to see what's happening at Beach Park with that concession and how that's starting to transpire into something pretty unique, as well as that bridge, Sycamous Salsquaw Road, and getting that done. And the other thing that's really evident is that drain is finally unblocked at that intersection, and now we don't have to go through about 4 feet of water when we come around that corner. So good job on that as well, Daryl. Keep up the good work. All right, we'll carry on. Okay, bylaw enforcement summary. John, can you give us a summary on your enforcement? Thank you.
Chair, October was again another quiet month for bylaw enforcement. 7 official complaints being received. We focused our October Did You Know campaign on the outlaw burning bylaw. Received quite a few phone calls at the beginning of the month, which resulted in no complaints on outlaw burning at the end of the month through the yard waste burning time, which was really nice compared to last year. Burning complaints last year. So other than that, they haven't been doing very many evening patrols or early morning patrols due to the season sort of the slowdown in the traffic as we ramp up into the events and looking for the campfires and the kids on the beach. Just another enhancing plan.
All right, thanks. Comments or questions? Go ahead, Jeff.
I hate to put you on the spot there, John, but I mentioned it. I'm not sure whether it's bylaw or whether it's actually the fire department. But in the permitting of the Tim Hortons, they have a fire lane along the side of the Best Western, right from the driveway in through to the driveway exit. And one day I was over there having coffee and now because you got to stand outside and one of the local RCMP went through. And I asked him if he had the possibility of actually ticketing that semi that was parked in that fire lane. And he said, well, he said, I know that there was a fire lane there. He said, there's some very faint markings, but I can't write him a ticket because it's not clearly marked. It's Tim Hortons' duty to maintain the paint on there. I see they spent money on painting the lines for parking. They never spent a dime on repainting the fire lane there. I also asked the officer about, we put up a sign there when you turn the corner that says no trucks or whatever, no certain blah, blah, blah. It's no trucks, basically. He said, well, that's a District of Sycamous sign. I can't enforce that. It's not an MOT sign. So, but he can enforce no parking in a fire lane. So I'm going to ask again, if you could please investigate it and go over there. Maybe you've started on it, but every time I go there, there's one or two semis lined up there. They're chewing the heck out of the road in front of the Best Western on the Rama Road, and on the Rama Road on the 7-Eleven side, they've got that the potholes are just about semi-tire size now. So the district has got an obligation to actually repair those roads and those shoulders. We shouldn't have to repair it because the guy stopped to get $1.50 cup of coffee. So, thank you.
Through the chair. Well, I can't go into specifics of that file. I can say that we are working on it and we're working with Tim Hortons management to rectify the situation.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Any other comments? Go ahead, Gord.
To the chair, yeah, John, just a quick one on, I guess we want to call farm animals in the community. I had a resident ask me about, roosters. Are they allowed to, how many are we allowed? I can't remember. And do you have any, I wanted to know if you had many complaints.
Currently, there are no bylaws in the district prohibiting chickens, roosters, or other farm animals within the district. That is factored into the animal control bylaw that went through first reading a couple weeks back. And it is also part of the zoning bylaw that is on council.
Okay.
For those matters.
Okay, we talked about it today in the zoning bylaw review, and we talked about that, and also kennels within the community and on what type of land, whether it be residential or business, town core or industrial. So yeah, Sarah and Scott got a little bit of work to do there. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, just as another response on that, I have had some complaints about chickens. I've also had several questions from people wanting to get chickens. I've always advised them not to bring in roosters because that leads to noise complaints, which is I can enforce on that this time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any other comments for John at this time? All right, John, thank you very much for the report. Thank you. All right, going on current development applications and the building permit report. Scott, I'll give you the floor on both those and look forward to your report.
Hey, thank you, Chair. So the current development applications, this is actually, I think I submitted this last week to Jennifer, and already. We have three more added to it. So we can take off the Hillier Road one that was issued last week, and then we have three more development variance permit. The Planning and Development Committee saw today on Seed Frontage Road. And then another development permit in the industrial park and another development variance permit for a dock. So yeah, three more to add, but if council has any questions, I can answer them.
Any questions? Go ahead, Gord.
Yes, through the chair, Scott, I forgot to ask this morning about the industrial park. Is that public knowledge, what it is, or?
I don't have any knowledge of what it is, but yeah, well, the application's not complete, so Sarah's working on getting some info on it.
That's good to know. Yeah, good to see industry.
Any other questions? All right. And the building permits?
Yep, building permits,
Darren?
not a lot new to report. It looks like we're behind a little bit from last year, but it looks like there's some couple single family dwellings that really push the numbers up. And we do have a number of building permits for mobile homes that we've seen recently. I don't think they've been issued yet, so they're not showing up, but yeah, it's pretty standard. If, again, I'm here to answer questions if there are any.
Any comments or questions regarding the building permits? All right. Looks like we got lots going on. All right, so community health center update. Karen, you have the floor.
Mayor and Council, thank you, Chair. So as everyone knows, the district of Sycamous took over Dr. Beach's practice on June 1st, 2021. And Dr. Alam took over his patient panel. However, there was a bit of a delay in getting it here. There was some licensing, not licensing, but his billing number was delayed, so he didn't actually get started until September 27th. But Dr. Connick and Dr. Edmondson really picked up the slack there in that period of time. And so that all patients were well taken care of in that time. So currently we have Dr. Alam full-time. We have Dr. Edmondson, 0.75 FTE, and we've got Dr. Connick 2.5 days, or sorry, 2.5 weeks a month. And Dr. Edmondson also moved her patient panel here from Seminar. And so we're a very busy clinic. So Carla and Sandra are here, our MOAs. Kara is new to the, she's a local girl and she's new to the clinic 2 days a week. We're hoping to get her for 4. And Sandra is just off today. In fact, had a knee replacement today, so she's going to be off for a while. So it's going to be a challenge to take care of everything, but we've got a great team. So we're a full service primary care practice offering longitudinal care to families and individuals. Currently, the total patient panel consists of 2,310 patients. So although we don't identify as a walk-in clinic, we do make room for people who have found themselves suddenly unwell or injured. And since June 1st, we've accommodated close to 325 such patients. So, and also since June 1st, there have been upwards of 5,200 visits and come through the office. So it's been full on. So it's been a lot of fun. So currently we have a really lengthy new patient wait list of over 200 people. So the moment the spot opens up, there's people wanting to get in, and so we're doing it on a priority sequence. And as Vicki, Dr. Edmondson sort of evaluates her panel and who are actually coming over from Seminar, because some people have elected not to. She's not really going to know that fully for a while. She'll say, give me 10 new patients, and the girls are reporting immediately, and so we're seeing new patients all the time. So, but it's and we'd like eventually to see all of those, at least 200 that are on the list. So there's also potential to maybe bring in maternity into the clinic 1 day a week, which is really exciting, especially looking at the way the demographic of this town is changing, and we're hoping to see lots of young families. So the details are still in the works. It would be in conjunction with the wellness clinic at the high school. In addition to bring RN Lillian Background. She worked with Dr. Beach and at the clinic two Wednesdays a month, 2 Wednesday mornings a month. And there's lots of things that an RN can do that can take the, the pressure off of the doctors, but it's all billable time through the doctor's billing number. So looking at doing that. And what was previously the physiotherapy room in the back is just been, it's a bit of a makeshift office at the moment, as well as we were getting a lift assist bed for in there, which is going to actually help if Dr. Gilman does come on as maternity. So it, and for, it's a treatment room for different situations where somebody can't get up onto the bed, and it's so that chair is coming. And so looking forward to that. So that'll add, because currently we have 4 exam rooms and eventually the treatment room. But on weeks like these next 2.5 weeks, we've got Dr. Khan again. So 3 doctors, 4 exam rooms. So Dr. Edmondson is just so resilient and accommodating. So she's made sort of one of the exam rooms her office, and she just sort of goes, so each doctor has one exam room. So it's a lot of running the hall to get those rooms ready, but that's the amazing staff. So it's working out really well. So and we also have Sherry as a foot nurse, and she comes once every 6 weeks. And now she's not employed through the district. It's just sort of a side contract, and she pays the clinic a small fee per patient that she sees her client. And but it's a service that we offer to the patients on the side. So overall, it's been a really full and rewarding 6 months. We're all learning and growing together, and just really thankful that we've had the opportunity to be in the clinic as it is as we move forward to the community health center model. So.
Thank you. Comments or questions for Karen? Counselor Anderson.
Thank you so much, Karen. That was awesome. It's always good to hear what's going on. And just for the gallery, the community healthcare center, that's sort of the plan there. When you say that there's a foot doctor coming in and they come in every 2 or 3 weeks, that's kind of the plan with the community healthcare center. The foot doctor comes in, or the knee doctor, or so those folks are popping into Sycamous and to take care of the appointments that are here, but they're not here full time. So moving.
Just clarification.
So, yeah, but moving, the point is, I mean, it's working, and it's working well. And I'm grateful that this group made the decision to purchase the medical center, or the healthcare clinic from Dr. Beach. I would like, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but there was a comment on rant last night, and I'd like you to clarify that, because there's people on rant that think that council has access to their medical records. And first of all, it's illegal, it's immoral. We aren't even allowed in the door unless we're sick. So Kelly looks after the administration, the doctor looks after the patient, and that oath between the doctor and patient. Can you just go over that so everyone understands that we do not see anyone's file?
Oh, absolutely. All the patient files are, it's called EMR, electronic medical records, and it's highly confidential. In fact, if I click into a chart for the doctor asks me something, and I click into a chart, all of those things are documented. So, everything can go back, you can look back and see, if we were ever audited for whatever reason, those things are all there. So there's, and nobody in the district, except for myself, has access to the medical records. And so in no way, shape, or form does anybody in this building or anywhere else in the public have access to those records.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. Counselor Bushel, you're next.
Oh, through the chair. Wow, Karen, those are huge numbers.
Mhm.
Can you imagine everybody having to drive to Salmon Arm? Those numbers are phenomenal. So, good work for your team, and welcome, and thanks for coming on board.
Counselor McKay, then Counselor Anderson.
Yeah, I'm glad this group took the lead and got into the medical profession and kept a community health center in our community. Yeah, it helps people age in place and save them getting out on the highway in the middle of winter looking for healthcare. And thank you for taking it on. At 20, did you say 2,300 panel?
The panel worked this afternoon when I looked, it's 2,310.
Amazing.
Well,
And that will probably, well, it will grow. It will, especially if Dr. Gilbert is able to make it work for 1 day a week.
Councillor Anderson and Councillor Moms.
And maternity as well. So that's great. Is it fair to share the growth from what it was? Can we do that? Like, we kind of knew what the panel was.
Yeah, that was roughly when we took over, I think it was roughly 1,800 or the patient panel. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's significant growth. It's 500 plus more than what we started off with. It was one physician. It was all the work of Dr. Beach for years and years and years, but those are the numbers we were told.
Head calling.
So Kelly, do you see us, our numbers changing quicker, the budget changing quicker? Can you comment?
Yes, through the chair, definitely there is a significant growth in the revenue. The physicians, we get MSP payments twice a month, of which we retain 20% to cover our overhead costs. So the more that gets billed, the more we're able to cover our overhead costs and reduce the amount that the district has to subsidize, if any. So yes, those numbers are growing.
Ed? Jeff will get his time. You might call him.
Karen, is this going to be a regular, are you going to come in and speak to council every couple months, or is this?
I mean, want any updates? I'm absolutely. I forgot to mention one thing. We have engaged a building specialist for October and November. It was part of Dr. Along's contract that we would do that, and it's been brilliant. Like her name's Daphne, and she's really highly efficient, and she knows this stuff. It's like a science. It's amazing what happens on the back end. And so she's been really, really helpful, and the doctors are loving it, and and Dr. Along is, the idea is that for him to learn, and first of all to learn some of these things that maybe have been missed over the years. And so this last remittance was significantly higher, and as a result of that, so it's very positive.
Thank you.
Councillor Moms, now it's your turn.
Nothing?
I just let Councillor Anderson take all the. Those were some of the questions that I was going to ask, but Karen, good job. I guess because you're there every day. Whenever you have people that have to work together and in a not confined space, but they're surrounded by four walls. Is the atmosphere good? Are the doctors getting along? Is the staff getting along? Everybody's happy?
It's really one of the most positive work environments I've been in. It's really, really good. And, all the doctors have, everybody's a different character, but everybody gets along really, really well. And they really appreciate our medical office assistants who are all very stellar. And they recognize that, and it's just, they're constantly praising them. And it's a wonderful, wonderful environment to work in.
It's a good news story, and I mean, all the tough decisions that council had to make over the last 3 or 4 years and where we're going with this and medical care in this community has been absolutely somewhat challenging, and where we're at today and the good work that you're doing as well. It takes good management and administration in order to have a good positive vibe within a work environment. So that bodes well for you as well, Karen. So thank you for taking this on, and let's keep up the good work, and let's get this new medical clinic built.
Yes.
All right.
Jeff.
Just one more comment, like Colleen suggested that, the next report. So if we could get a report again after this billing specialist is, because they're just there till the end of October or the end of November. End of November. And then at the same time, if Kelly could just have the report reflecting what the increase in where our budget's at compared to what we had budgeted for that 20% to cover overhead costs and building costs and such.
All
Awesome.
right, any other comments or questions for Karen? Thank you very much for that update. We look forward to the next one.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Karen.
All right, moving on to the town hall debrief. Mr. Parliament, you have the floor for that one.
So, Mr. Mayor, just further to last week, which was an event well attended, both in person and online. I made a comment that we expect to probably have another town hall update for the public as we move forward through this process. Just want to clarify, moving forward on the community health center. The work to date that the district has undertaken is what we call for the pre-construction and conceptual design activities. We haven't gone to contract to build this facility. We don't even know the design of this facility. What we do know is that Scott Builders will be the builder. What we do know is that Douglas Cardinal is the architect. And we know that Dr. Aveen Tafoya is going to lead the healthcare needs assessment. So what we're committed to is the project visioning, the healthcare needs assessment, the constructability and phasing analysis, the schematic design development, all pre-construction stuff. The next town hall is as we get closer to a conceptual design where we're going to engage with the public on its form and character and feel. That's probably most likely when we call another meeting. Right now, we're committed to the tune of all that work, which has an agreed contract price of $253,000. So this is all this pre-construction work I just talked about. That's all funded by the grant, the $6 million grant we got through rural and northern communities. And the final is today we received an email that we've been shortlisted for a national program called Community Economic Development Initiative, working with First Nations on bringing economic development activity to the region. And we've applied with our partner Splatson. We've been shortlisted. An interview will be held in December where Cookby, Christian, and the mayor will sit down and plead our case on a national forum on everything economic development. And we have focused on three pillars. One is the community health center and truth and reconciliation, which we talked about last week. The second is the pedestrian bridge, rail to trail initiative, which we are partners with Splatson. And the third would be tourist accommodation, campground, et cetera. So with that, hopefully if approved, there's only 8 in the country and we've been shortlisted. Those 8 partnerships between local government and First Nation get to explore all kinds of opportunities, economic development, funding opportunities, et cetera. So we could advance those 3 specific projects and maybe more. So that's good news. So that's where we sit right now. As we get closer to, again, the design of what this building will look like, Douglas Cardinal's made it very clear. He's asked us what we would like, and that includes the public as well as council and staff. And we'll have an opportunity to sort of roll up our sleeves and have a look at what that building's going to look like moving forward. Thank you.
Councillor Malmus.
Good job to the staff and Evan. I know you're doing a lot of running. On the last comment that you made about the you've been shortlisted. Good job on the application. Out of the 8, how many get awarded anything? Just one, or is there first, second, and third place?
Yeah, I don't know how many applied. I know when we had our preliminary Zoom meeting where they invited all interested parties to attend, there was 176 that attended, representing both First Nations and municipalities. They only award 8 partnerships. We've been shortlisted to be one of those 8. How many applied? I have no idea.
Okay.
So we're shortlisted. If successful, both FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, CANDO, and Indigenous Services will award 8 partnerships across the country.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? I just want to comment in regards to the CD, the grant funding. This was a process that we went to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities back in 2015. in Winnipeg, and we got wind of this, and now the results are coming. We have been shortlisted, so let's see what we can do with it. There's a big pile of money that we can maybe access, so hopefully that we're going to be successful. Good work, staff. Appreciate it. All right, moving on. We're at council's reports, so we're going to start with.
Sorry,
Did you?
Gab, can I just?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm not sure how this process works now. So after having the open house and having all the input, is the location of the community healthcare center been determined as 200 Main?
So, Mr. Mayor, the discussion last week centered on all of Main Street developments, including Habitat for Humanity, 200 Main, 417, 425. Tonight, we have an MOU that's presented by Habitat for Humanity to go before council to enter into discussions to place that project on 417, 425 and shared properties at 433. If that's approved, that would default that the 200 Main location would be the community health center. We still have some preliminary work to do on the lands, working with First Nations, some ARC stuff, some geotech stuff. But yes, our focus has been that Habitat for Humanity brings much needed affordable housing to the community. And council believes that the best location for that is 417, 425 and half of 433. And we continue to work toward designing this building encompassing 200 Main, maintaining as much park as we can, little impact, unless we can find another location. And I made that clear last week in the open house. You know, we had some interesting suggestions, including the dog park, which is encumbered by the ALC and its location. But, you know, I will always listen to other options as will this council on location. But right now, the focus is on Main Street. Because of the exciting initiatives outside of Habitat for Humanity and the Healing Center, we need to be reminded that we've got this world-class trail that's going to be built, that's going to funnel across the channel and come into this community. And that's a big part of our economic development initiative, which is why we applied for CD funding and partnership with First Nations. They are an owner of that rail to trail. And so bringing folks into town by foot, by bike, by e-bike is important, and that's why we're trying to be on Main Street.
Any other comments?
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, Evan, we can't forget about the commercial space. I mean, there's just no commercial space left in Sycamous hardly, and Habitat for Humanity, bottom floor will be all commercial. So that's really, really, really important.
Yes, in the MOU, what's a great opportunity is it's a non-binding document that basically allows the DOS to explore this project with Habitat for Humanity, which includes all commercial space on the main floor and what kind of commercial space we need and what are the needs of the community. At any time that we feel that the talks go offside or there's no cooperation or they have a different vision than we do, or we find out something we don't like, we can walk away. We'll end up with a vacant parcel, but we believe that we've got a good partner, and the MOU doesn't bind either party to a contract until we arrive at a contract to construct. But commercial development and the need for commercial uses will be imperative in those discussions at the MOU stage.
Councilor McCabe, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, Evan, my understanding and it's by unanimous council resolution that the location for the Healing Center is 200 Main. What we need to do as far as engagement with the public is what services are provided there, what the form and character of the building is, and how much of that space we can utilize as public use for green space. But the decision has been made that 200 Main is the location for the Healing Center. What we need to engage with from the public is the form and character of that building, and as our architect moves forward and we get conceptual designs, and then there'll be public consultation along the way, but the consultation won't evolve around location. It'll evolve around what services are provided there and what the form and character of the building is like and the design. Am I wrong?
Nope, you're correct. In fact, this week I've been in touch with Scott Builders, and we've given them the the green light to start discussions with the Splatsing Development Corporation, their construction company. They do a lot of archaeological work and geotech survey work. They've done all the work on 417, 425 already as through our partnership, our protocol agreement. We've instructed them to look at the preliminary work at 200 Main, identification of the trees, identification of the location of utilities, et cetera. They're a well-balanced group that we are lucky to have because they're local. And it is a directive of this council to make sure that this project employs as many local and Splatson supported businesses as we move forward on this truth and reconciliation mandate. So this week, we've directed them and Splatsing to look at those issues, geotech, archaeological survey work on 200 Main.
Thank you.
Councilor Malmus, you're next, and Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, so through the chair, Evan, if you could just elaborate a little bit more on the Habitat for Humanity. I think that through the MOU process, that the final design of what's actually spaced out on that ground floor, what size the units are, 1, 2, 3 bedroom, how many of each there are, who's going to be there, will there be some of them actually sold as affordable housing? Those are all things that my understanding is will actually come back to the public for discussion after we get through some portion of the MOU and get closer to actually what could and could not be there.
Yes, through the chair. In short, the MOU allows both parties, that would be Habitat and the DOS, to sit down and map out what this new facility will look like, how many market units would be in there for purchase, how many market units would be in there for rent, how many below market units for rent, how many below market units for purchase. It's a mixed use. This is not just for low income folks and for rentals only. There's a lot of people that have full-time jobs that simply can't afford a $650,000 home in Sycamous. There's going to be opportunity in this. But back to the MOU. This is a definition I stole from one of my mentors in Alberta. We're in the courting stage. We're just courting each other. We're not walking down the aisle yet. When we walk down the aisle, that will be a contract that we will sign, and it's binding. Yes, you can get divorced, but in that contract, there's language to get divorced. But right now we're courting Habitat and they're courting us. And it could be a year. It could be 2 years. It could be 6 months, 8 months. But right now, this MOU allows both parties to go on a date and have a discussion before we decide to walk down the aisle together. And so all these questions on the units, the size, the use, the setback, the form and character, that's all going to be discussed before we walk down the aisle, which is a contract to construct at a said price.
Sounds like love at first sight. Okay, go ahead.
Through the chair, so having described this courtship and the possibility of divorce, the other thing that was talked about when
Or long-time bliss, maybe.
yeah. But one of the other things that was discussed with the ability that BC Housing may throw up some money for this. There's various grant funding, there's donations. This is not going to be, and nor did the district, and the district knew this when we did this. This is not going to be something where the district has to increase taxes to cover off the actual design and build of it. And that was imperative of this council. This council's been steadfast for 7 years on maintaining a 2% or less tax increase, where other communities have had seen a 6 and 7, some 8, 9% tax increases. This does not appeal to us. That's why, yeah, you're going to hear me say something you'll never hear again. We may be slightly overstaffed, but we've got slightly overstaffed and we get grant funding to do some of these projects. So we have a substantial amount of grant funding money. And these two projects right now, they could total $25 million worth of grant funding for this community. So, and that's what we've done to try to accommodate the needs of the community. Because if you remember 7 years ago, they were closing the Parkview School. 7 years ago. That's not that long ago. So we've done a lot of good work here, and thanks to my fellow counselors. And I fought some of this stuff along the way, but when you get down to what could be and what needs to be, you have to go with what needs to be.
All right, thank you for that, Councillor Malmus. Next, Councillor Anderson, do you have one more comment?
I can't follow up on that. I'm s-
All right, okay, so with that all being said, Evan, are you good? Anything else? I think, yeah. Thanks, Councillor. The strategic priorities list, as we just discussed, right on the very top of it is the development of a community health center provision and local health and wellness services, rail trail project support and so forth, the pedestrian bridge. But councillors, do you have any comments or questions and would like to discuss anything on the strategic priority list? Councillor Malmus.
Through the chair, so just to make folks aware that the rail trail corridor is, I'm on that advisory committee. And so because of events that happened over the last couple of years, Terry and I are going to, we've already met with a couple of different communities, and we're going to meet with the rest of them, 4 or 5 more over the next week to just explain basically that Sycamous is a waterfront community, and that in Sycamous we allow boats and docks, and we allow people to come from other parts of the country or even the world to use their boat on our beautiful water system, and that it was never any intention of this council to disallow the use of the waterfront, ever. We realize where our economic benefit is, and that is in the water. And the rail trail could be a second benefit, but it can't be a second benefit at the expense of the water access. So that's what the mayor and I are going to spend our next 2 weeks delving into.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Councillor Anderson?
Just note, Councillor Malmus, when folks are bringing their boats here from other parts of the country, they need to remember to clean, drain and dry.
Okay,
And we want it to remain muscle free.
okay, I'll have them call you.
Go ahead, Councillor Bushel.
Yes, yeah, through the chair. Yeah, I just wanted to indicate that that Mountain Park, Daryl and Jeremy have been working hard to get the process going on the Owlhead Bike Park, and that's coming along really well. And yeah, it's close to budget time, so there's all kinds of things that wish lists that we all want, and we'd like to give Kelly some ideas as we go in. So everybody, just remind everybody to start thinking about that budget time and what we can afford and what we can't afford. So just wanted to bring everybody up to date.
Councillor Anderson?
Maybe someone could comment, I don't know, maybe Gord, maybe Mayor, there's been some slash burning up on the north side there, a lot of it. And you go look out there and there's 2 and then there's sort of 4. Is that going to continue to go on? Because there's been a lot of concern, a lot of phone calls. So can you guys shed any light on that?
Yeah, it's through the chair. It's an ongoing thing with the logging firms, and that's what they're doing. Is they're logging up there, and they have to slash burn in the fall, and they wait till the winter time or till the rainy season so they can start slash burning. When these referral letters come out in the mail, and we have an opportunity to give our opinion, that's when you would give your opinion if you think it's getting too close to the community. And there is a lot of, which is, it creates economy for us too. There's a lot of logging that's happening on Queest, and there's a lot of logging that's going to be happening up on Owlhead, especially with the fire. So they still have lots of slash burning to do. And I know our forestry resilient crew is on the Owlhead side now, and they've been there for the last year, I guess, year and a half. And Brett's well tuned with the logging companies and also the forestry resilient people. And yeah, it's, he knows it's happening and it's just starting to get lower into the community. And you'll see that in the next few years, it'll get fairly low, especially over on Owlhead.
Councillor Thomas?
Through the chair, yeah, you want to see it from my window. Like there are some of them that they look like the fire we were trying to fight. And I actually had calls where people were saying that behind your house there, like, I don't care because now I live on the other side. If it comes down the hill, you're gonna get evacuated. That's what they're saying to me. And they're basically going, like, trees are candling up there. I said, might look like it, but I don't think so, because those slash piles are huge. Like they're massive. There's a lot of wood up there.
And I can just add to that, even tonight, we're voting on the biomass system and hopefully that when we do get our system, if it goes through, we will be able to use some of that product to actually heat homes, heat businesses. And so, yeah, so that's really important too, because it's very close by.
Yeah, that's the picture I took from my place. And that was the very question I had. I thought, well, here we are going through this exercise to have a biomass energy plant and they're burning up all of this fuel. And I thought, well, how do we correct that? And it's my experience in northern BC where hundreds of thousands of slash piles burnt up over the years. Hopefully that we can maybe utilize that somewhere along the line, but we'll be voting on that a little later on today. All right, anything else in the strategic priorities at this stage? Go ahead, Councilor Aries.
Oh, I'd be happy to give a portfolio update / first councilor report, I guess. It should be about communities in bloom, which had their awards, I think the Friday after our last council meeting. Unless I was talking about them at last council meeting because they were the day before that. They weren't. So we got, it was a modified judging campaign this year. So there's no in-person judges. Again, it was all done via Zoom and photos. And I don't know if everybody probably recalled seeing Deb Heap's submission a couple of weeks ago, which highlighted a lot of great things that we couldn't believe all happened in the last year. And we got third in the category of community projects, events, Deb. And that was for our spring cleanup, wasn't it? To all the crew, I know I saw a lot of fellow councilors and staff, and of course, you always see Deb at those projects. Seems like there's 5 of her at those projects. That's what I got.
Your next council report.
I just basically gave all mine.
Councilor Evans.
Thanks. I've just been hopping around, talking to a lot of folks in town about development permits and medical centers and obtainable housing. And I'm glad that people care so much. And we may have differing opinions, but what's not in question is the amount of care that people have about our town. And I've noticed one thing, that anything new is messy. It's not easy, but it's good. And change is good. So yeah, it's been a busy few weeks. I need to cut back on my caffeine. Always over a cup of coffee, and I said last time, it's becoming a problem. So
Thank you for that, Councilor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, it's been pretty busy with lots of phone calls and questions about projects in town. Colleen and I met Carly at the EDC in regards to the TAC, Tourism Advisory Council. So we're just talking MRDT tax and things like that, short-term rentals and just marketing programs that we're working on. Malcolm and I also had a Splatson to Splatson council to council meeting with two of the councilors from Splatson, and we discussed all kinds of, community issues like the rail trail and, houseboats parking in the bay over there. And Owlhead, we tried to, probably the reason they maybe got the approval letter from Splatson so quickly is by asking the councilors to go to the Economic Development Corporation of Splatson. That we seem to get the letter really quick. So it's good working with those guys. They're really good to work with, and we work back and forth pretty good. Also attended the town hall meeting in the evening. Yeah, lots of good questions and it was really well done, put on by the panel. And then also had a development planning meeting today. So yeah, everything's going well. All I got. Thank you.
Councillor Anderson.
I've had a couple of interested parties call. They're looking for commercial property in Sycamous, looking for a place to plant a business. So that's been challenging because we don't have a lot of commercial space. So still snooping around. I had a couple meetings with the chamber on different projects, went to the tourism and ECDev with Gordon Curley. Also attended the Zoom open, or I attended via Zoom, the open house. And I thought it went really well, and there was some really good questions, and I found it fairly positive, and I think majority of people are pretty excited about what's going on and the projects going on in town. I also attended a meeting with Gordon, Evan, and Scott for a potential lakeside hotel. Fingers crossed, like that would be super exciting here. There's also and I keep going back to rant because people share with me, not because I'm on rant, but share with me. And there is a bit of a miscommunication out there that there are two centers going up now, a drug addiction center and a community health care center. There are not two. We do not have a drug addiction center going up in Sycamous at all. We have a community health care system or center, which will house our doctors, some counselors, some specialty doctors, as you heard from Karen, maternity doc. So that's what the community health care center is going to house. There is not another center, addiction center. We are not qualified and those are privately run. So I just wanted to clarify that for those that picked up on that. Gord also shared a report with me, and I don't know if you shared it with the rest of council, about the pipeline protesters, and most of them being paid protesters from US companies. So I wonder if there's not a resolution in there somewhere about having out-of-country protesters protesting in your country, in your province. Like, shouldn't the folks that live in that province be the ones fighting for the rights of what's going on in that province? Like, why is that allowed? So maybe there's some room there for us to work on a resolution. And if you're protesting and you believe in something, why do you need to be paid for it? So that's another issue. So perhaps we could look at something to Silga that protesters have to be provincial residents, or you just can't ship a bunch of paid protesters in to cause a lot of commotion that isn't actually true dynamic. So anyway, that's all I got for me.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Anderson. Very good points. Councillor McCabe.
That's a lot. That's hard to follow. Same as Councillor Bushel, the council meetings with Councillor Sean and Doug from Splatson. Some good dialogue there. It's a great relationship. It helps us be collaborative as a community. Attended a planning meeting this morning. Attended town hall meeting from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And attended my first meeting this week as a new director in the Eagle Valley Senior Citizens Housing Society. That's about it.
All right, thank you. So my report, just kind of sum it all up. I'm not going to elaborate too much on it, but attended the town hall meeting. I want to thank Evan and Dr. Ravine and Bill Miller and Councillor Evans for moderating it. They did a very good job, and I'd like to thank staff for all the different stations that they had trying to lay out what we're trying to accomplish over the next while. So I was well attended. There was 2 sessions of it, and both were well attended. Attended what's called the Economic Trust of Southern Interior budget deliberations, and something that is going to be quite unique. And we've got Carly, our economic development coordinator, working on it as to how we can bring fiber optics to Sycamous and where where we can maybe access some grant funding. The CD grant funding opportunity, Evan, he talked about that a little bit today, but there's a very big pot of money. I think that could come our way, which would help us when we build our medical center, as well as the suspension bridge that's going to connect downtown Sycamous to the trail corridor. So we're hoping to have that conversation, and we've been shortlisted. So that's also really good news for us. And then on Friday, we're meeting with the Ministry of Transportation in regards to the highway corridor plan and different areas when it comes to the development of the bridge across the channel. So looking forward to that. And I think that's pretty much it for me. I probably have more stuff, but we can suppose cut it short at that. All right, so moving on. So rise and report, recommendation of the committee of the whole now rise and report. So I need a mover on this. Councillor Malmus, Councillor Aries, all in favor? Okay, we're carrying on. Thank you. And we have probably people online. I don't know if they've got hands up or whatever, but there is a few minutes here that we're going to take in order for public input, and then we're going to go on to our delegations. Have we got anybody that has a hand up?
If anyone on the line on Zoom wants to speak to council, please raise your hand.
I don't see any. All right. Anybody from the gallery? All right, we want to move on to the delegations, and then when we have the delegations, we're giving a period of time for delegations. And also, if anybody from the gallery would like to also comment in the delegations, they're welcome to. So you have 15 minutes, and the first person in the delegation is Lisa Kerr from on Main Street Developments. Is Lisa here?
Hello.
Are you
Hello?
online? Yes, okay, you're
Yes,
online.
yes, I am.
And,
Hi.
and yeah, you have the floor, so go ahead.
Okay, thank
Here to
you.
listen.
Okay, so my name's Lisa Kerr. I'm a new resident here in Sycamous. I moved here from Ontario in June with my husband and 3 children. If I had $1 for every time I've been asked why Sycamous, it's a good question. Why Sycamous? Well, we chose it for its beauty, charm, and good vibes. We've met so many lovely people in the short time we've been here. People also ask, why not Vernon? It has all the amenities for raising a family. I will be honest, the devastating sight of homelessness, tent cities, and blatant drug use on the streets was concerning and disturbing. We happily chose the quaint district of Sycamous. Introducing a facility to treat drug and alcohol addiction and mental health right on Main Street is opening up the district of Sycamous to the same types of conditions. You are inviting physically and mentally unwell people to seek out treatment from an hour in every direction. Do we have the infrastructure to accommodate this level of care? Would it not be better situated closer to more amenities like hospitals? If the invitation of drug addicts, alcoholics, and people suffering with mental health challenges should cause an increase in crime, will our local RCMP be able to manage? In Ontario, we lived in a town with a population of about 120,000. We did not have a one-stop shop for our medical needs. It was not uncommon to have to drive 15 minutes to an hour to seek out the required services. Sycamous has services in place that accommodate the population of approximately 2,000 people. Here in Sycamous, we have a dental office, a massage physiotherapy clinic. We have an optometrist, 3 doctors, and a chiropractor. The local dental office was having a hard time finding a new dental hygienist. The chiropractor is off on a leave, and the chiropractor covering for him now is off as well. The massage therapist is off on maternity leave without replacement, and one of our 3 doctors only works here 2 weeks per month. Who do you plan on staffing the new healing center with? What is your backup plan if the building remains unstaffed? What percentage of the facility will be utilized for mental health and addiction? In the grant application, you mentioned having $2 million in an account just in case you go over budget. I believe the application indicated that the money is set aside for road repairs and maintenance. Do you still have that money set aside? If not, what is your plan when you go over budget? Will this fall on the shoulders of the taxpayers? During the last meeting, Splatson indicated the desperation their community is feeling due to drug overdose, addiction, and suicide. They said they very much need a healing center, but we're open to other locations. I believe this type of center is much needed and would be an asset, but I do not believe Main Street is the correct location. The district of Sycamous can do better. You talk about wanting to increase the population, perhaps have more young families join the community. I would love to see that too, but I can't see having a treatment center in the heart of town being the solution, no matter how beautiful the building or how famous the architect. I can say with 100% certainty, if the downtown core of Sycamous starts to resemble the streets of Vernon, we will not stay. I personally think you're doing the opposite of attracting families and growth. We want to raise the district of Sycamous up. Give people a reason to want to visit give people a reason to want to visit or move to the area. We have some great amenities here. We have the Woof Beach Chick, the new Thai restaurant, Linda's Gifts, and Wild Beauty, just to name a few. These types of places give off a vibe and attract people to the area for a positive and uplifting experience. This is what we should be striving for when creating our downtown core, not a central hub for addiction and mental health treatment. Surely the district can find a more suitable location for a healing center, considering its primary use. Thank you. And I'd be happy to go back over some of my questions to give you guys a chance to answer.
Thank you, Lisa. What's your question from council?
So I asked a few questions in my statement, one of which is, do we have the infrastructure to accommodate this level of care?
Can I?
Go ahead.
Lisa, Councillor Anderson here. I'm just going to reiterate this. I did it earlier, maybe you missed it. This is not a rehab center. It is the medical center. It's a community health care clinic. We're moving our clinic onto 200 Main. It is not a drug addiction facility. It's not a mental health facility. We do not have the capacity here in Sycamous to handle that. And those are specialty treatments that we can't do here. So
right. Thank you very much for that clarification. But in the grant application, in the area that says programs, targets, and benefits, it's a whole list of things that talk about the mental health, post-traumatic, addictions, both substance and gambling. It talks about all of these things. You want to put in hydrotherapy, yoga programs. It talks about on one of the stories of the unit being designated to health stay suites for people that are there for their treatment and recovery. So why is all of this stated in your grant application if it's not what's happening?
It's simple.
Go ahead, Evan.
We, the district of Sycamous, with our current health care center, do all those services. We provide counseling. We provide mental health support. There's drug addiction going on right now, both in town and outside of town. We have 2,300 patients that come to our clinic. We deal with a raft of issues, both mental and physical. That won't change with the new facility. So a lot of what we're doing now is just simply being transferred to a new facility. The addiction part, we do counseling for addictions right now. There's prescriptions being.
It indicates that you're calling people in from Enderby. You're calling people in from Chase to Enderby. It's in your.
Yes, it's a regional facility.
These things that
Yes.
you're stating, I'm not pulling this out of the air.
No,
This is your grant application.
okay. I'm done.
Lisa, can I just give you a little bit of advice? Could you just listen to what Evan Parliament has to say? Because he wants to address some of your concerns and also Counselor Anderson. So give us a few minutes. Evan, you have the floor.
No, I'm just,
This grant application or just what you feel like saying
it's
today?
fine. Done.
Counselor McKay?
Yeah.
Or is
If
the
you-
grant
if- if
application
it's,
mean nothing?
Counselor McCabe here. If you go to our District of Sycamous website and you look at the Shuswap Healing Center, there's a question and answer page there. It addresses most of the statements you made this evening.
All right. Thank you. So next, we listen to Lisa and her concerns, and on the next side of our delegations, we have Steve Seelinger here, 200 Main Street, Strata Corporation, KS 3136. Steve, you want to come up to the podium and address the council? Thank you.
I speak to you for KS 3136 BC Strata Corporation, commonly known as the Loss, located at 1205 Riverside Drive, Sycamous, British Columbia. It's a two format delegation speak. It's one, some comments from myself, and two, some questions for Mayor and Council. Regarding the proposed development for district-owned property at 200 Main Street. I think that's probably fairly obvious. The comments are, one, that the above named strata as a whole is opposed to any type of suggested development of a park-like property located at 200 Main Street, Sycamous, British Columbia. Two, that the property at 200 Main Street is a focal point for community events, tourism, and aesthetical enhancement of the community. Three, that in 2015, the property was purchased by the District of Sycamous with funding being provided by the tax base of the community. At the time of purchase, the acting mayor advised the community that the property was, even though zoned commercial, was purchased for the intent of a park-like setting to be used as an event park and moving forward to be scrutinized by future councils. Four, this did happen. The property since the purchase date has been used as both a general park and an event park, with many scheduled events being put on for the benefit of both taxpayers and visitors to the community. It is fact that portable stages and restrooms were purchased by the district for usage at the events held in the park, but not solely for. Five, on behalf of the strata consisting of 22 properties, my comment is that due to the fact that our properties share a common property line with the park at 200 Main Street, we as a whole have great concern regarding the impact of property values, impact of a negative manner to the community, and impact of tourism and visitors to our community. Six, please understand that the strata as a whole is both disappointed and greatly concerned by the decisions by President Mayor, elected council, and town manager are suggesting regarding the development of the property at Main Street. Seven, please understand that the strata as a whole is disappointed and greatly concerned in regards to the lack of communication about the proposed development that the mayor, elected council, and town manager have shown to date regarding the issue. Move forward to the question points. One, is it true that the proposed development 200 Main Street has been recently announced as the new location for the Regional Healing Center?
Yes.
Yes. Two, is it true that the development is approved for a grant of just short of $6 million? Would someone respond, please, so we can move forward? Please. It's very yes or no question. I'll repeat it. Is it true that the development is approved for a grant just short of $6 million?
What development, Steve?
That 200 Main Street. That's what this is about.
What development?
The development for the healing center.
Correct.
But we can split hairs.
Yeah, you know that. I answered that.
No, simple question. This is not me speaking.
I will
This is a
answer.
delegation.
I answered it, Steve.
Yes or no, please.
I answered it last week. I
Okay,
answered again. Yes.
Thank you.
For the third time, yes.
Thank you. 3, is it true that members of the professional community have been engaged by the district of Sycamous, including but not limited to Alberta-based construction companies, namely Scott Builders Inc., numerous architectural factions, some from the United States, advisors, etc., and some of the Indigenous community of BC?
Yes.
Thank you. 4, is it true that the retained consultants, advisors, etc., were engaged with zero input from the community and taxpayers of Sycamous?
No,
That's a no. Thank you.
no, that's not true. They were engaged through your municipal council.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you for the answer.
no problem.
Is it true that the grant awarded to the district of Sycamous states clearly in numerous areas within its written documents that the proposed healing center will offer treatment for addiction and provide housing for inpatients and families?
That was answered last week as well.
So is it a yes or a no?
Triage, referral, treatment, addictions, yes.
So Mr. Parliament, that is a yes.
Triage, referral,
Mr. Parliament?
triage, referral, outpatient services, yes. Overnight accommodation, inpatient service, no.
6, is it true that since the purchase of 200 Main Street, it has been advertised as a park and used as a park of the district of Sycamous with many district funded functions taking place?
Yes.
Thank you. 7, is it true that the proposed healing center will be owned by the taxpayers of Sycamous, but managed by the district of Sycamous and maintained by taxpayer dollars?
Yes, it's a community asset.
8, is it true that if the answer to 7 above is yes, would it not be then respectful and pertinent that the taxpayers of the district of Sycamous be provided all information regarding such a large undertaking by the present mayor, council, and town manager before funding is sought, consultants retained, and most importantly, $250,000 of grant money spent?
I don't know the question. What are you asking? What's the question?
You have a copy if you'd like to respond at a later date.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'll respond later.
Okay. 9, is it true that numerous stakeholders regarding this development have been included in consultations, but the taxpayers of the community have not been given any type of consideration as such to this to date?
I can respond later.
10, is it true that at a recent council meeting, October 13, 21, the question was asked of the council and town manager, quote, will this be an addiction treatment facility of any kind? And that the response was by more than one, that no, it will not be.
Again, just give me 30 seconds, Steve.
Just a yes or no.
No, it's not a yes or no.
Is it true that the recent council?
Please give me 30 seconds. Please.
Okay, sure.
Addiction, mental health services, treatment of substance abuse. Yes to triage and referral. Yes to outpatient services. No to overnight inpatient support for treatment addiction. So when the district of Sycamous says,
Sir, respectfully, that is not the question.
Steve, when the district of Sycamous says, yes, we treat and we provide counseling to addiction services, we mean triage and referral only. That was clear. Dr. Tafoya said that last week. Spinning it around to serve your purpose doesn't change my answer. It doesn't change my answer.
Let him answer.
I think it's important that the public understand. This is a fundamental question, Steve. It's not just you and I right now. The fundamental question out there, I'm just trying to answer it to everybody. This is not so much directed to you, sir.
I know that.
The question that I get asked a lot, and I have to clarify this for everybody. When we talk about addiction services, we currently do that now. Karen is our manager of our health center. We provide addiction counseling services to all kinds of patients. That will not change, but we only do triage and referral, which means we see them that day and we refer them for help. We do not treat these people overnight. It is not a treatment addiction center, what we call inpatient, which means accommodations are provided, which means kitchen facilities are provided. Those are facilities that are run by the private sector. So yes, we will treat anybody who comes in our facility for mental health concerns. And if they have addiction problems, which there's lots, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, we will continue to do that. So when I say yes to addiction services, triage and referral, yes. Overnight stay, accommodations, kitchen support, 3 hots and a cot, no. I don't know how much more clear I can be, Steve.
Thank you for your comments, but again, that is not the question. The question is very simple. Is it true that at a recent council meeting, October 13th, the question was asked of council and town manager, quote, will this be an addiction treatment facility of any kind? And that response was by more than one party that no, it will not be. I'm asking, is that true?
No, it will not be inpatient.
No, I'm asking.
Yes, it will be outpatient. Yes to referral triage, no to inpatient.
I'm not asking that.
You just asked me.
I'm asking you if it's true at a recent
Let's
council
call it.
meeting, but
No. Once again, Steve. Wait, Steve. Once again, no to inpatient, okay?
11.
Hold it for a second. Steve, you got 5 more minutes.
I'm trying to move forward.
Okay, and I know, but you've got 5 more minutes, a 15-minute delegation.
No answer. 11,
Yeah.
with an opinion of mayor and council and the town manager, if the owner of number 10, or if the answer of number 10 above, which is not answered, was a yes, very simple yes, that you guys did say, no, it's not an addiction facility. That's all I'm asking, okay? That this would be in contradiction of both excerpts from grant documents and answers from mayor, council, and town managers at the recent council meeting of October 13th, 21. Would you like to respond at a later date?
A later date, that sounds great.
Will you respond at a later date?
Absolutely, I'll call you. You know that.
Okay, 12, have community tourism and construction impact studies and budgets being prepared and presented regarding this project.
I'll call you on a later date.
13, is it true that the district is in the process of a zoning remapping of the community, and that under this rezoning, which has passed first reading as recent as August 11, 21, that it clearly shows the property at 200 Main Street as a P3 Park General?
Yes, that was discussed.
Thank you. Is it true that the proposed healing center at 200 Main Street is a joint venture with the Splatson peoples from the Indigenous community, and as per the Truth and Reconciliation format is part of Action 21, which clearly states the construction of healing centers throughout our country?
Yes, yes.
Yes. In the opinion of the mayor, council, and town manager, would it be safe to say that they have acted with clear and full transparency regarding this development to the taxpayers and residents of the district of Sycamous?
Yes, that's my opinion.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thanks for your time. The Strata will expect answers, I hope, relatively quick from the ones that were not discussed tonight. For the record, the Strata is not against development in this community. We are wholeheartedly all for the build of the community, but not in these locations, or in this location.
Okay, Steve, are you finished? Okay, there's someone from the gallery.
Through the chair, can somebody tell me this piece of property that we're talking, is it zone commercial or is it zone residential?
Kevin?
Zone commercial.
Why are we having this discussion?
No, look, everybody, any member of the public can ask any questions. That's fair. That is Steve's right. That the lofts have fundamental questions. I will answer them. What I get tired of is the explanation on treatment and addiction. I thought it was patently clear. I will repeat what I said in a written format, and I'll provide you with answers to that. But anyone has a right to come to council and ask, and the property zone commercial.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Chair, once again, back to the gentleman here. Before I moved here, I came here to find out which areas were commercial and non-commercial, where I could buy a house and live. in question. And at that time, I found out the property that you're talking about is commercial. So why, and once again, I'm going to ask the question, why are we talking about this issue if that's commercial property? From what I understand from the people telling me, we want to put a medical center there, that's going to make it competitive with everybody else. And we're still going to need half a park there that wasn't designated as parking before.
Councilor Thomas, you wanted to comment?
I just want to make the comment that the original owner of that property, which the district purchased it from, Jack Bowers. I'm not sure if it was Jack Bowers himself or development company built those lofts. And he built those lofts and his next project was on that property next door to build a building in which he hoped the district of Sycamous would move their offices into, not into this particular building. So that's what was going to happen there. And that's what would have been built there had the council of the day decided that that would be a good location for the district offices and the library. They didn't choose to do that. This council chose to purchase that piece of property, thinking that it would be a good staging area for the rail trail construction or for maybe highways construction, that we would use it for events. If we'd have wanted it a park, we would have brought it back to council and voted on it as a park. Same as Main Street Landing. 7 councils never took the opportunity to make that a park. It is still a designated roadway. But because it looks like a park and squawks like a park, you got a sign like that and a couple benches on it, people consider it a park. But it is not zoned a park. The reason it was not zoned a park is because the properties on both sides establish what the value of it is. And we were hopeful that MOTI would just come and buy it from us to put a bridge across the end of Main Street. Well, we'd rather given it to them and they built a bridge across the end of Main Street, which that didn't happen, but it's still our access point to a bridge across to the rail trail. So a decade ago, if things would have continued, there would have been a building on that property already. That didn't materialize. Now, because it got used for a park for a few events or for a location for a few events, it basically had weeds and that on it. The first time it got mowed was by the mayor and myself. Right after we purchased it, because we complained about how properties looked around town. So we went over there with our own lawnmowers, which his broke down on.
I hit a steel bar.
And then we're using it as a community place to have functions, trying to get a value out of the tax dollars rather than it sit there as an empty lot, which we did. And now we're going to use it for another community facility, which will benefit everybody in the community, not just the KSA strata where you live. There's more people in this community that want a wellness center and a medical center than the people that don't want it. The senior citizens need it. It's going to offer a great amount of services. And so, you know, if people would just listen to what it could be and actually till they come back with their design, Dr. Avina and those people and the staff that are there to talk about it, we'll find out exactly what it's going to have at that point in time. But we do know, according to stuff that I've seen, there's been lots of public consultation. They were sitting in this chamber, Palm Beach, and all members of the public drawn up drawings, a fancy glass building. That's a $15 million building by itself, what they had drawn up. That's not what it's going to be. The blue box that somehow got out into the public, that's not what it's going to be either. There's nobody in this room that can tell you what that building is going to be. Nobody. Because we haven't seen it yet. So why doesn't everybody just have a little bit of patience, put their hands under their ass and sit down and wait and see what comes? It hasn't been decided. All we've decided on is some people are going to come back with a drawing and some people are going to bid on building it. It hasn't been signed off yet. Only the design and the building and what the lot will look like. That's all that's been signed off on to date. Is it going to be 2 stories, 1 story, 9 stories? Nobody knows. I don't know. If you got a better door to this, Steve, than I do, please tell us.
Anyway, thanks for your input. Thanks for the delegations and so forth and people online, but unfortunately, we're out of time with this and we have to move on. So thanks for your comments, Jeff. All right. Development permit application 21-211 DP 530 Main Street. There's a recommendation that the District of Sycamous approve development permit number 21-211 DP for the property legally described as Lot 2, District Lot 497, Kamloops Division, Leal District Plan 2371, accept plans 87355, 12390, 13401, H 664, KP 57835, KP 63992, EPP 61095, and EPP 109190, located at 530 Main Street for the development of the services and repair establishment phase of the development, consisting of a gas bar and canopy, electric vehicle charging stations, paving, parking, waste storage, enclosure, landscaping, and boulevard improvements. That is the recommendation by staff. Is a resolution. Do I have a mover on this? Counselor Malmus, do I have a seconder on this? Counselor McCabe. Scott, you want to give us a brief update for the benefit of the gallery?
Thank you, Chair. I can. So this is an application for a development permit at 530 Main Street. Here you can see the drawing of the property. So it applies to 530 Main Street. 534 Main Street will be considered at a later date. You can see on the hatched area the subject property. So right now the OCP has it designated as Town Center Commercial Gateway. The zoning designation is C1 Town Center. Here you have a drawing of the proposed development. So you have to in the middle where it says the existing building. So that's 534 Main Street. So that actually isn't subject to the development permit. It's everything around it, from the entrance in and then the gas bar, the paving, the landscaping and things around that. Traffic study was done. Here's just an example of the different vehicles and the turning radius to get in. As you can see, it has the different size campers, buses, fuel trucks and things like that. And then the development permit conditions. So in the development permit, it considers the lighting, garbage and recycling enclosure, the outdoor amenity area, and then public artwork and landscaping. Here's a landscaping plan. Design was put together by a landscape designer. They'd be providing security for 100% of the landscaping. And then some further on the traffic. So they did have a traffic study that was done. And then some of the recommendations coming out of that traffic study. Consultation. So this wasn't referred to the public. So in development permits, we don't refer them out to the public. We did refer this internally. And then to the Ministry of Transportation. They said they did not want to comment at this time. Because it's outside the parameters of what they comment on. We did refer to the Chamber of Commerce. They recommended refusal. And then we also did receive 6 letters that agreed with the Chamber of Commerce that this should be refused. I believe that Sweet Pal is on the line. He's the owner, and Mark, consultant, he's also on the line if there are any questions. Staff's recommending that this permit be issued. It meets the conditions of the OCP guidelines, offers enhanced landscaping, outdoor seating, artwork, and OCP guidelines. And then the traffic study has said that the service will be very good service. And then the next steps would be, if this permit's issued for 530 Main Street, a servicing agreement. That servicing agreement would likely require an agreement with Ministry of Transportation as well for work on the boulevard, and then access and the boulevard's required, building permit, and then a development permit for 500 Main Street would be the next step.
Thank you. Councillor Malmus, your comments.
Yes, through the chair. So I wasn't able to attend the planning committee meeting today. I had a previous engagement. So I'd just like the staff to be 100% clear and spring ball to actually acknowledge the idea that this permit is for 530. 534 will come back. The access is a decision of MOTIs. And if there are any off-site works that need to be required, that the proponent will be responsible for them. So if it works out that MOTI for some reason does not work in the favor of the proponent, then I guess the question is what will happen? And the access has always been the only concern of the planning committee. And it is somewhat of the concern of the council. But I don't think personally that I want to see this project delayed. I just suggest that there's strong wording put into place that ensures that the district of Sycamous or the taxpayer, the access to the community won't suffer because of this development. So if the staff can assure that there's wording in place to cover that off, then I'm happy to vote in favor.
Scott, you're up, and then Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, Chair. So there's an offsite servicing agreement is required as part of the development permit. And Ministry of Transportation is likely going to have to be party to that permit because much of the development or the offsite works are going to be on Ministry of Transportation land.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, just to follow up on Councillor Malmus's comments there, if I could through the chair ask Scott to put up the draft permit that shows that it addresses any if there's any impacts to traffic, that it's the responsibility of the developer, the owner, the applicant to address any
Sorry,
traffic issue.
I've asked Kelly to do that in the agenda package. I believe you have the report already. So if you scroll down to the permit, and it should be on kind of lower down on the maybe about on the second page. If you scroll, keep going. So right, yeah.
While they're looking.
6.
Oh, so go ahead. Yeah.
Number 6, the owner will enter into a servicing agreement with the district for offsite works for a period of 5 years consisting of boulevard improvements in accordance with the landscape plan and any access upgrades within the road right of way in accordance with the traffic analysis prepared by Sheffer Andrew Limited. An addendum to the traffic analysis may be required where there are increased traffic impacts on Main Street where offsite works are recommended. The owner may be required to enter a further servicing agreement.
Thank you.
Okay. Gordon.
Yeah, through the chair, as discussed today in the planning committee, my concern is that the lots aren't consolidated. Highways has to give their approval for them to use the access to get into the development in front of Mountain Park, which is not part of this development proposal. But to me, the proper way to do this is so Sweet Pal doesn't spend all this money putting in pumps and everything and then have to go back and if Highways doesn't give him approval or he doesn't get the environmental approval from the province, then he has to go back and redesign the whole thing. The smarter thing would be without spending a whole bunch of money, and it's unfortunate he purchased it so far in advance. There is, he's got to pay carrying costs, but the smart thing to do is consolidate the lots after the Highways and the province weigh in on it. And we met with them last week on site, and we said we were going to talk to Highways. That has not happened yet. So that's my problem that I have. I just can't, I can't vote for this until I hear the whole story from Highways.
All right. Councilor Anderson.
I feel the same way. I think that we're putting the cart before the horse here. I can't picture in my head how we are not going to stop traffic in the circle for semis to turn into the Mountain Park property. I can't get, I don't get how it's going to work, how they're going to fit. When they exit, they're going to have to go down Main Street. So we don't want semis going down Main Street. We're a recreation town. So for that reason, I just feel like we're putting the cart before the horse. Like, we don't even know how this is going to work, but you're building a business in the middle of it. So for, that reason alone, I'm not voting in favor.
All right, Counselor McCabe.
Yeah, I was under the understanding that Highways has weighed in. We're talking property 530 development permit. And Highways has responded saying that they don't have any issues because there's no buildings. And so they're not a referral in this process for this permit. Did I get that? Can I ask Scott that question?
Go ahead, Scott.
Yep, so through the chair, so Highways won't comment on a development permit if there's a building that's not larger than 4,500 square meters. So they won't comment.
Well, they have commented.
They've commented that they're outside of their policy.
Right. They've commented that there's not going to be any input from them for this permit.
Correct, for the DP.
Yeah. So waiting won't change anything for this permit for Highways.
I don't know. I don't know what could change for Highways, but you're right. Their policy is their policy and they won't.
Already responded to it that there's no comment.
Right.
Counselor Momas, you're next.
So to take that a step further, when they go for their development permit, building permit access on 534, which is the existing Mountain Park Sport building, is that over the square footage where MOTI would comment on?
It won't be.
It won't be.
I don't think the building's more than 45, is it?
So what is the likelihood that they'll comment on that again? Other than we've requested, and there's been an email that's been sent, and I think that Sweet Paul has a copy of that email, and the district has a copy of that email, because they want to use MOTI property. So if it was any place else, the size of the building would still get a comment, basically, from MOTI. I'm only stating this because all the rules allow this development to go ahead. Yes, will the access be a problem? The Planning and Development Committee discussed it. The Planning and Development Committee said that, yes, we think it's going to be a problem because the Planning and Development Committee has people that are longtime residents in this community and have seen what can happen there in the summertime. Unfortunately, this project has got to this point and there are monies invested, time invested. It's a permitted use and the access is the issue. And Sweet Paul and his team have agreed to address those access issues if they become a problem. My one comment would be that on point 6, I don't think 5 years. I think you should increase that to 10 years. And if they're amenable to that, because you don't know what the traffic's going to do in 10 years and that traffic circle and the proximity of the highway and the 4-laning of the highway, we may get a glimpse of what that might look like on Friday, but we've been asking for it for a long time. And we aren't even on the MOTI's radar for what the 4-laning corridor is going to look like through our community. So, Sweet Paul, that is our concern, is that there's some unknowns in here that are making that property with one access problematic to us with its proximity to that roundabout. And if it's going to be that it would guarantee it, but you got to put a turning lane in or something, whatever is going to be required, that's going to be on your dime on the offsite works. And that was the thing that I suggested 2 planning committees ago, and you agreed to it. And I know at the meeting on the curb, you said, well, what else will there be? It's always only been just the access and the comfort level. That's all it's ever been. So my only thing that I could say is if you can change from 5 to 10 years that property is responsible for it. I don't know if that's feasible or if we have some limitation on that request. But other than that, you know, it's approved, it's allowed. It was mistakenly in the new zoning bylaws had pumps allowed on it. I didn't catch that, and I gotta take the heat for that one. I would have never allowed fuel pumps on the new zoning bylaws in the downtown center core, ever. Because I'm the guy that was on the zoning planning, it's at OCP, that was not our intention, but we missed it. And the old zoning bylaws allowed it entirely. When Sweet Powell bought this property, it was allowed. Our new zoning bylaw even had it listed, fuel pump. Listed under 5B or something. So I'm just suggesting that, you know, as long as the developer is willing to deal with that access, it's gonna be what it is. Sorry.
All right. Any more comments on this before I call the question? Are we ready for this? Okay, I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? I have to support staff on this, that they recommend an approval, so I'm going to vote in favor.
Do we want,
So the resolution is carried.
are we going to share reasons we voted against?
That gets the check.
Opposed? Okay.
Is that what we're doing? We're still doing that? We go through why we voted against?
So the resolution was endorsed, it was passed. There was 3 councillors that were opposed, Councillor Ayers, Councillor Anderson, and Councillor Bushel.
Do you want reasons why they were why we opposed?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go back to, I think we're putting the cart before the horse here, and we're looking for trouble farther down the road. I don't think that access is gonna be simple. I think there's gonna be a lot of money poured into this project. Now we're taking semis and we're right next to a high school, which is a safety issue. Also, the circle itself was put in place in 2016 for the flow of traffic off 1 onto 97 and the safety of our community. Now we're going to be driving more traffic that can't make that 45 turn, and there isn't space for a turning lane. So I just think that the developers is just gonna have issues moving forward, and I don't think it's
Councillor Bushel, your points?
Yeah, through the chair, I agree with Colleen in all her aspects. It's just, it's unfortunate it's come to this. I think it should be, all the lawsuits should be consolidated beforehand. And I just think the traffic study is kind of skewed because it didn't include a 40 and 50, 40 to 50 room hotel that's proposed there. And when we asked the planner, if we asked their consultants if a semi could get out of there and make a right-hand turn, he said no. And if we go and put a Meridian in front of that, they won't be able to use B trains to fuel their 10-bay gas station. So it's just, in my mind, it just will not work with one exit. It needs to have larger or wider exit, and that's Ministry of Highways property, and they should weigh in first.
Councillor Ayers, you want to comment?
Sure, through the chair. While we're voting on a development on one parcel, it's going to be a 2-parcel development, and we're not looking at how it's going to change the roadway, and we're depending on a traffic assessment that I think is it does not take reality into account very well. There's a lot more reasons beyond this, but I definitely feel that people elected me to say no to projects like this in our downtown core, and what we call in our official community plan is our community center. Despite it being on the highway, it is our community center.
All right, thank you for that, and well documented. Anyway, the resolution has been carried, and it was an extremely difficult decision to make on behalf of council. Anyway, the developers can carry on. Okay, moving on to the next resolution. Eagle River Golf and Country Club liquor license outdoor patio area application. Recommendation, whereas the district of Sycamous received a copy of the application for a new outdoor patio area for the liquor primary license held at 1450 Husky Frontage Road under the establishment name of the Eagle River Golf and Country Club. And whereas council is interested in receiving comments from residents regarding the proposed patio expansion to be included in the resolution to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch. Now therefore be resolved that the district of Sycamous solicit opinions of residents in Sycamous regarding council's intent to consider and provide comments for a new outdoor patio area for the liquor primary license held on 1450 Husky Frontage Road under the established name of the Eagle River Golf and Country Club be approved. I need a moved by Councilor Malmus, second by Councilor Aries. Any comments on this at this particular stage? Councilor Malmus, go ahead.
I'm a member there and I tried to get an answer to this question. When you look at the drawing, you can see where the barbecue is and the hut where they do a men's night where they cook the food and the rest of it. Number one, tee box, like, are we gonna tee off on the stage?
They've downsized it a bit, but they're gonna move it. I think they're gonna move the number one tee box a little bit. Not so sure.
I think it would be better if you.
These are the new regulations on the beach control branch. Based on COVID, they're allowing a little bit more outdoor space. So that's, but they have to get approval from the district first. Councilor Bushel.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great addition to the community and another place for weddings and things like that. And so, yeah, I support it 100%.
All right, so any other comments on this? I'll call a question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, recommendation, Habitat for Humanity Housing Development. Recommendation of the town manager be authorized to execute a memorandum of understanding with Habitat for Humanity Kamloops regarding the development of a residential commercial project on 417, 425 Main Street or other suitable location. Have a mover on this. Councillor Evans, Councillor Malmus. Any comments on this? Evan, you want to comment?
Yeah, so basically, council, this is an opportunity to sit down with a potential partner to bring both market, mixed use, affordable, attainable housing to Sycamous and the downtown core. There's lots of work to do. It could be up to 2 years. It could be as quick as 8 months on our journey toward a contract, if we were to enter into a contract for the proponent to build what he's proposing. It's up to 58 units. It may be only 38 units. It could be only 24 units. We don't know. What's exciting is we have another partner in Eagle Valley, of which we've partnered with them to provide also some land and create this sort of, we call the town center. Look at that little bug. Thank you, Kelly. They're scary. What we call sort of this housing precinct where we're bringing affordable housing to Sycamous. And so by entering into this MOU, you're not binded in any way to choose them. This is the due diligence period, what we call sort of the courting session before you decide to take the vows and enter into a matrimonial relationship. But for now, I think there's enough to sit down and enter into an MOU and start the due diligence process.
Councilor Malmus, your comments.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to this recommendation. Near the end of it, the 417/425 Main Street, I'd like to add the rear of 433 Main Street. I'd like to see other suitable locations removed.
Okay. Councilor McCabe.
Yeah, if I could just add on Councillor Malmus's friendly amendment to say, A shared portion at a rear 433.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Okay, 433. Can you read out the amendment?
That new motion would be town manager be authorized to execute a memorandum of understanding with Habitat for Humanity Kamloops regarding the development of a residential commercial project at 417 and 425 Main Street and shared space at 433 Main Street, removal of or other suitable location.
All right, so that's the amendment. Do I need a seconder for the amendment? Councillor McCabe, any other comments on the amendment? I'm going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment? Carried unanimously. Now, as the motion reads.
Want me to do it again?
Yes.
Given that I stumbled a bit? Okay. That the town manager be authorized to execute a memorandum of understanding with Habitat for Humanity Kamloops regarding the development of a residential commercial project at 417 and 425 Main Street with shared space at 433 Main Street. Period.
All right, that's it.
And
Any other comments or questions on this? Call a question. All those in favor? Carried. Sure. All right, biomass heating system recommendation that council award the contract to supply and install a complete biomass heating system to Think Machinery Inc. with a phase one contract price of $870,821 plus GST. I need a mover on this. Councillor Malmus, second, Councillor Bushel. All right. Evan, you want to comment on this as well? We've bounced this around.
Yeah, I don't need to go over the report. I think council has a fair good understanding about the capital and operating. I have reached out to the first tenant and the news is TA Structures led by Todd Kylo are in the process of their final subdivision in the industrial subdivision. And the good news to share is there's two more potential offers, both of which have expressed interest in hooking up to this facility, especially in light of the news that the federal government's going to be aggressively increasing the carbon tax, which currently sits at $40-50 a ton, going up to as high as $170 a ton. So that's new news since we last talked, that we do have potential two other tenants. One is a resident in town who wants to build a building, and the neighbor to that person, same builder, wants to build another building. So that will also increase our revenues when we negotiate our charge. Also, we had a Zoom meeting with NR Canada and Fink and Urban Systems since we last talked to go over the details of phase one, which again is the boiler, it's the housing unit, and it's the installation cost to hook up our first tenant, which will be TA Structures. And we're hoping that TA Structures will have a savings of up to 50% as per their current load and their current costs. They have to pay for both propane and other sources. So I'm very pleased to know that we've now got two other real potential tenants that are going to hook up to this facility to assist in those costs.
All right. Councillor Moss, go ahead and then we'll call a question.
As paying attention, but I was just scrolling through the emails from can't remember the guy's name because all I got's a phone number. Dave is the guy that was here.
Dave Dubois.
Anyway, there was an issue about, what was capacity and how much could he produce. So they were talking about a number for income. I think it was 9 or 10 cents. They calculated as a kilowatt hour, although it's heat. So, and I think it was Councillor Aries that asked the questions about what was the capacity, what was the actual total amount of revenue that could be generated out of this, because we knew what the cost was for providing the biomass. So the plant generates 530 kilowatts per hour, depending on the demand profile, 1.5 million to 2.5 million kilowatt hours per year. So at 10 cents a kilowatt, that's 150,000 to 250,000 gross revenue a year from that facility. So if anybody was asking the question about what the maximum gross revenue would be. That's it.
Counselor Harris?
Do those figures account for running and billing for its services through the summer months?
No.
All right, any other comments or questions on this? I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. So the resolution is carried. Do you want to explain actually why you're opposed to this, Ryan, at this stage?
As an investment, I'm not, I feel like we're using this because we have the grant and for the cost we're going to get it for. It will be self-sustaining, but I'm not sure it's a good use of the government money that's being awarded to us.
Okay, Counselor Evans?
I've had questions about it all along and they just weren't answered to my satisfaction.
Okay, all right. Anyway, it's carried and both Counselor Aries and Counselor Evans were in opposition, opposed. Okay. All right, so moving on to the Sycamous Detailed Assessment Thompson Flood Advisory Committee. Mr. Bushel, you wanted to comment on this?
Yeah, through the chair, I was in contact with Mike Simpson from Fraser Basin Council. And we have a local on Sycamous Creek that was inquiring about a flood assessment that he might have to do. And I said, well, I would check with the Fraser Basin because I knew they were doing some kind of work up there. So I know Fraser Basin's been in touch with Evan and Scott and maybe Jeremy, I'm not sure, in regards to this flood assessment. And unfortunately, when I called him, he asked me to sit on the board. And I said I didn't know if I could because I'm pretty busy and I got a full-time job. So I just thought I told him I'd bring it to the council and see. I mean, they're going to meet again in January or February, and it's supposed to be wrapped up in March 20. The report's supposed to be done in March, but it just gives a little insight of what's they're doing their assessment up there. But now with the fires, there's a little bit more work to do up there. So it'd be good for Sycamous, somebody in Sycamous to know what's going on up there with the assessment and have input on the board. So I didn't know if anybody wanted to jump at that. And I mean, if nobody wants to, I will, but I think it's important.
Councilor Mullins, go ahead.
If you give me the contact information, I'll call and I'll find out exactly what they want to do.
Okay.
I gotta go hiking up the back to that creek because I've been up the gorge there. No, I'm not hoofing that one. If Guy's gonna give me rides, okay.
Okay. I sent that off to you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Counselor Malmus. Any other comments on this? Okay, thanks for that, Counselor Bushel. All right, Heritage Bylaw number 991/2021 is a recommendation that the Heritage Designation Bylaw number 991/2021 be given first and second reading this 10th day of November 2021, and that a public hearing be scheduled for December 8th, 2021. I need a mover on this. Counselor Aries, Counselor Mull, Ms. Jen, you want to give us an update on this?
Definitely, through the chair. So if council recalls that in late 2020, the Eagle Valley Arts Council approached the district and requested heritage designation for the Red Barn. And at that time, council directed staff to just work with the Red Barn to determine if heritage designation was the right answer. And so just the difference between heritage designation versus a heritage registration. Heritage designation provides permanent legal protection of a historic place. So a place that council considers has, or that the community deems to have heritage value. And it's enacted through bylaw. And it's the steps are listed in the Local Government Act of how to enact a heritage bylaw. So it is a permanent protection of a place. And so in communicating that with Eagle Valley Arts Council, that was expressed that once it has this heritage designation, if they want to do any certain work, they would have to apply for a heritage alteration permit. And that, this is kind of a permanent thing. Do they really want to go with this versus just heritage registration? But for them, if it's designated as heritage, they'll open them up to a lot of funding opportunities to maintain the red barn. And so for them, they did see it was valuable, and they went to the effort of preparing what would be considered a statement of significance that outlines why it's important. So that is presented to council as well tonight. And so if council wishes to proceed, as EO Valley or Arts Council is requesting, tonight will be first and second reading. We are required to put out notices and have a public hearing. And if those are successful and council wishes to continue, we could do third reading as early as December 8th with final adoption before the end of the year at the December 22nd regular meeting. And then there's some notification to land titles and the heritage minister of the designation. So the bylaw that's been prepared for you includes some maintenance standards. It has a requirement for heritage alteration permits for any non-routine works. So anything extra and above, besides really just kind of maintaining it and keep it in good shape. A delegation to staff to inspect the heritage properties on a routine basis. So to make sure that they're complying with the bylaw, as well as issue the heritage alteration permits. So if they wanted to, I don't know, add on an extra set of stairs or something like that, that application would actually just come to, say, the development services manager, and he would be able to look and deem if he thinks that fits the guidelines. And then if, let's say he said no and they were upset about it, they could come to council and ask for reconsideration. And then it also, this bylaw includes, the Local Government Act says that if we designate a property as heritage, that they could potentially be open to compensation for the reduction of market value. However, the bylaw's got some language in there that the waiver of right to compensation because they requested us. So we wouldn't have to pay anything based on this designation. So I'm open to questions and, Scott's here as well, development services manager. That's definitely more of a planner. This only stuck with me because I touched it first before Scott got here.
Comments, questions from council? Council Bushel, go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair, I had met with the Arts Council a couple times over the years, and they've always wanted to do this because they're just left out. And as a nonprofit society, they just can't get their hands on the proper grants for restoration. They were talking about raising the building and restoring the bottom end of it, and they just can't seem to get the grants because it's not heritage designation. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's been talked about, and we asked about adding it to the bylaws, and I guess here we are today. So I would recommend it for sure.
I think this conversation's been going on for probably 8 years, and we're finally going to make a decision on it. Go ahead, Mr. Parliament.
To our corporate officer, thank you. As Kim Hyde, I hope she's listening, has been asking about this, to Councillor Bushel's point, for some time. We were unable to get this off the ground. There's a lot of work that goes behind this. I think that's one of the best written reports, because I did read it, because I have some personal vested interest. I promised Kim and the group that we would seriously look at this. It is a long, complicated process, but thank you, Jennifer and Scott, for bringing this forward. It's good to see. So really appreciate it on behalf of those folks that have been chasing this for some time now.
All right, Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, so this is just first and second reading, so that just triggers a public consultation process, which is great. It's what we're all about, so I support it.
Okay, all right, any other comments on this? I call the question, all in favor? Unanimously, thank you. All right, correspondence for action, Parksview Elementary Buddy Bench. Recommendation that the district donate to the Parksview Elementary PAC for the installation of a buddy bench. You've got the correspondence here as to what they're trying to accomplish. Councillor Evans, your comments on this, and I also received a phone call, and I do have an amount lined up if we're looking at this annual bill. Go ahead, Councillor Evans.
Yeah, just to clarify what a buddy bench is for anybody listening. It's called a buddy bench. The idea is simple. If a child feels lonely, they go to the bench as a signal they need someone to play with, and another child will see them and talk to them and include them in their games. And these buddy benches are popping up all over the place, and they help kids that are feeling alone, and it's a good thing. And when I was in elementary school, I would go to this bench quite a bit, and in high school, although they wouldn't have this in high school because it would be cool.
So go ahead, Councilor McGinn.
I think you're gonna answer my question. I'll wait.
Yeah, so the recommendation or what they were requesting from Soban Rich was $2,000 in order to accomplish this. And I did talk to Kelly, and we do have about $13,000 still left in our grant fund that we allocated because of travel expenses. So we could use that. But first off, or I could use my serendipity fund when it comes to Shuswap Community Foundation, either or. But Kelly recommended that we get approval from council, and if we can get approval from council, we'll figure it out. Okay, so Councilor Mamas.
So I'd like to make a motion that we donate or whatever we're doing, $2,000 for a buddy bench. I just have one comment about that. The buddy bench, you know, like when you talk about playground equipment for kids and stuff like that, like it's $80,000 for a set of monkey bars. Like, so are we certain it's only $2,000 for this? Because doesn't it have to be some special surface designed a certain way? Or is it just a rock in the middle of the field?
I have no idea. I have to ask Councilor Evans, but I think it's the concept and the idea behind it, I think, is definitely worth supporting. Councilor Evans, you want to?
I'm quite certain if we ask the PAC president what kind of bench we need, that they will tell us that they have approval for the certain type of bench that would be allowed. And we're probably, look, Councilor Ayers has
So many buddy benches.
so it's probably not gonna be $50,000 like the monkey bar.
Okay, so I made the motion for the 2,000. You need a seconder.
Okay, so recommendation that district donate $2,000 to the Parkview Elementary PAC for the installation of a buddy bench at Maneuver. Councilor Mamas, Councilor Aries. Conversation around this, call a question. All those in favor? Harry, thank you. Ben will be very happy to hear that. All right, correspondence for information. Anybody want to talk about any one of these particular? Go ahead, Councilor Evans.
Yeah, both my wife and I went and got our flu shot at IDA in town here. I just encourage anybody that can to go, just Google Eagle Valley IDA and Sycamous and book your flu shot appointment and just go in and get your flu shot. It'll be very important this winter to protect yourself that way. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents out there for the flu shot.
All right.
I didn't get it a few years ago and I got the flu and it was nasty. So I've got it ever since and I've avoided it.
Didn't get COVID?
Just different things, sir.
All right. Any other comments on any other correspondence? Councilor Aries, go ahead.
We have some correspondence from a citizen on here, I see. And after sitting through this meeting with everybody, I really appreciate somebody who takes time to put this into writing. It's a lot easier to think about it before the meeting and have a good response. Not that I have much to say about it. Residents who don't know, most business licenses don't come to council. They comply with the zoning. They're allowed uses. It's not our business to decide what businesses should or shouldn't be allowed. That would generate a lot more complaints than the current system, not a doubt in my mind. So I stand by the fact that the pet value in this case was issued a business license, whether or not it is a good idea for them financially to be in town. That is their business in this case.
I read that and I actually asked Jen, I says, okay, what's with this business license and what's the position that the district of Sycamous sits? And when you apply for this license and Scott, would you like to just repeat what Jen, what we actually discussed on this, because, and then I think she got some recommendation from you as well. So this is part of, you know, what we do. So go ahead.
So we do have a business licensing and regulation bylaw, and in that bylaw, in terms of the license approval or refusal, the only authority for the license inspector, which is delegated to staff to refuse an application, is if there's concerns for public health, fire and safety that wouldn't be complied with the business operating. So that would be the only authority to refuse a business license.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, do appreciate the letter and appreciate the concerns, but we're bound by some of these agreements. Okay, so any others? Go ahead, Councilor McKay.
Yeah, I was just wondering with this Bill 26, the last correspondence at the bottom there, if Evan can give us the Reader's Digest, is that gonna create any impact for how we do business, or what's the short version of that there, Evan, the layman's terms?
Maybe I should read it first.
Oops.
Nicely done.
Hang on.
Sorry, didn't mean to put you on a hot seat.
Go to the top, Kelly. I haven't read it, sorry, guys, so
Well, that's okay. I just curious if you might have an opinion.
remind me, what's Bill 26? I'm just,
Actually,
So legislation about notices, or
Public notice.
oh,
Code of
housing code of conduct.
yeah, I talked to Scott about it and he explained it to me, so Scott can explain it to council. Go ahead, Scott.
Everyone's on a hot seat.
I'll give the corporate officer the opportunity.
The only one excited about it, so.
Here we go.
It's quite benign, actually.
Okay, go.
Talking about legislation, there's proposed amendments to the legislation right now. So for example, public notices, we have to do 2 newspaper, and that can be expensive sometimes. And is that really reaching the audience? So they're revising it to modernize what the public notice requirements are.
Thank you.
These other platforms, as well as some streamlining of the approval process for some developments such as housing. And that really is, I'd throw that one back to Scott anyway. But then also there's going to be a new requirement for local governments to have code of conduct for the elected officials. That's similar to other provinces. In BC though, an elected council does not need to have a code of conduct of how you expect yourselves to behave as you work together. And so this legislation would require you guys to establish your own code of conduct of how you're going to be respectful to each other in your conduct.
And to the town manager.
I think the conduct with the particular council is absolutely excellent. So
You're killing me.
The smart development variance forms can be delegated to staff. That's also exciting too.
Well, that's a big one. Variance can be, sorry, I spoke at a turn there.
Malcolm's just as excited now.
it was evident today when we had a very difficult resolution to discuss. All right, anything else? All right, motion to adjourn.
No, Gordon
Go
has.
ahead, Gordon, did you want one?
Well, I was just gonna thank AIM for their winter awareness letter. It's got our phone number there, and it kind of shows you what they do over there, and they're now part of our community now with taking one of the lots over the industrial lot park there. So yeah, it's a great little flyer, and thank them for putting that out. It's really nice.
Anything else?
Did you talk about your Jeff?
Go ahead, Jeff.
In the heritage bylaw, I just want, I was gonna comment on this previous to, but in the documentation that they provided, the red barn and the photographs of the red barn, and they're all new. Then they have the one archival photo of R.W. Broom. Now, we have a bridge called the R.W. Broom Bridge. This guy looks like he's 12. He looks a lot like Ryan. Like,
Grow a beard.
he doesn't have a beard. He's
Young guy.
He's a young guy. He's in 1929. So this guy had to have done some accomplishments to get a bridge named after him, the museum and archive. I mean, come on, like, give him some credit here. Good job.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I would like to make a tongue-in-cheek motion that we petition the province to name the bridge after Ryan Airy and change the bridge name.
I
I should lead for this one.
He's a good-looking young businessman and he knows what he's doing, so.
And we can line the bridge with Peru.
I wonder if we could get a seconder. All right, good enough. I think we're done. Okay, recommendation that the regular council meeting for November 10th, 2021 be adjourned at 7:25, moved by Counselor
Mark?
Thomas, seconded by Counselor Bushel. All in favor?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, tough day.